Hi, my name is Elena, and I'd like to share my story because keeping it to myself would be selfish, as many can benefit. Growing up, I was very shy, very quiet. I was a loner, and I was praised for being a good girl while all the other kids were getting in trouble. And because I feared attention, I did not get any. I never developed any social skills. I had a very low self esteem, and eventually, I was dealing with panic attacks whenever someone wanted to just converse with me. And my behavior eventually led to self hate and depression. I thought something was seriously wrong with me. Until one day, I came home from work after a severe panic attack towards the end of my shift. And what followed was this incredible epiphany. Not many people at work would converse with me because I was very shy and quiet. And I would panic whenever someone, especially men, wanted to talk to me. I couldn't speak when there was more than 2, 3 people. But this particular day, a new coworker who didn't know about my fears began talking to me as I was just passing by. And right away, the panic just took over my body. I felt the heat just flushing my face red. My heart began racing. My stomach tightened, and this pressure in my head felt like I was going to explode. And in this panicky feeling, I even lost the words he was saying. So all I wanted to do in that moment was just to disappear, run away, stop the panic. And I felt so ashamed because I knew it was so visible. And sometimes actually I felt as though men just wanted to talk to me only because they were attracted to me. But still, it just didn't make any sense. I thought I was never abused in any way. So all I could do back then, in that moment, was saying, "I'm sorry, I'm busy." And I quickly just turned and walked away. I walked away while he was still talking to me. And so it came out so rude of me. So of course, right away, I began blaming myself for my behavior. And as soon as I got home, that self-blame just continued. I talked to myself out loud. Why is this happening to me? I have to get rid of this stupid behavior. What is wrong with me? I was really upset with myself. I hated myself. Then I began tapping certain points on my body to calm myself down, which was a technique I learned. And as I calmed down and began to think more clearly, I thought, I couldn't have been born with this. When was the very first time in my life I had this panic attack? There must have been a very first time. What happened? How old was I? And out of nowhere, this memory comes to me. I'm about 10 years old, and I see my dad naked standing in the tub. He called my name. It's why I opened the bathroom door. And we both stared at each other for a second, and because he didn't say anything, I turned around and I left. Obviously, he forgot his towel and expected his wife, who has the same name as me, walk in. Now, as I was remembering this, I recalled how ashamed I felt in that moment, walking away. I stood in the middle of the living room waiting for my dad to come and talk to me, comfort me, say it wasn't my fault. But he never came. And I also thought, did he call me on purpose? And as I was recalling this event, I realized that the emotion I felt back then was the exact same emotion I feel every time I panic when men want to talk to me. I thought, oh my God, all these years I suffered because of this innocent event? That's insane. But at the same time, I realized that it was never about what was wrong with me. It was always about what happened to me. And I'm borrowing these words from Teal Swan. She's a public figure, and she expresses these words in some of her videos and interviews. So immediately, I stopped hating myself. What a relief. My panics were not my fault. Coincidentally, a few days later, I learned from Teal, who I followed on YouTube at that time, how to transform the negative experiences or memories from my childhood into positive ones, releasing all my traumas, big or small, which is a process in which you, using your imagination and visualization, you imagine your adult self back in your childhood in negative situations, and you see your adult self acknowledging your child self. We often experience the opposite growing up. Our emotions were not acknowledged, they were rather suppressed. Don't cry, don't be sad, don't be angry. Remember those? So if we heard something like, I see you're upset. If I was in your shoes, I'd feel the same. We would feel heard and understood. We would feel loved. We would get through the emotion quickly. We would learn how to deal with negative emotions. We would let ourselves feel those emotions and be okay with them. So the more I imagined being acknowledged in many of my childhood experiences, the more I visualized being treated differently, the more real these imagined experiences became. It was like creating new memories in my subconscious mind. And you can look into the study of neuroplasticity. The synapses in my brain just began to change. And as I was feeling the negative emotions connected to certain events, and then feeling good as a result of imagining the events in more positive light, and feeling the self-acknowledgement, my panics just disappeared. I found my voice, my purpose, my life changed profoundly.